Hi, this is Gene. I want to talk a little bit about 9/11. It's 9/11 today, and I want to talk about what I was doing that day when it happened. Um, Normally on this day, I usually watch some of the news reports during that morning, but today I was out walking, and I thought that I need to do a video about it today. I think years ago I might have said something about it, but I want to talk about where I was in my life, um, what happened after that day, and how it impacted me and how it made me the man I am today. So, uh, going back to May about 2007, May of 2000, I was diagnosed with cancer. I had a golf tie, a golf tie size tumor in my small bowel. They took it out. Then I was on chemo for 6 months. So about October of 2000, I was recovering, and I think I was out for about 60 months, 60 days. And during that time, they also did a review on me to make sure I would actually stay in the Air Force. They do that when things like this happen. Because my prognosis was good, the Air Force decided to keep me in, which I appreciated because I had a special needs son and a lot of other things going on in my life, and we needed that health care that we got through the military. It would have been a big uh, economic hit if I got knocked out, or got they would have retired me early. Just put it that way. um, I went back to work around Christmas of 2000, and I was getting ready. So I was supposed to go to uh, senior NCO school in September that same of 2011, 2001, and I was getting ready for that, and just getting ready for that. And that morning, I was doing what I normally do. I work out. Either I go out running. That morning, I actually decided to use my treadmill, and my wife came out and she got the shock on her face and saying that somebody just went into the towers. And I'm like, what? What are you talking about? So I mean, it was like 5:40 at that time. I was on the West Coast, so I went in there. I saw what happened, and while as soon as I went in, um, right about the same second tower was hit. Maybe the phone started ringing, and we all had to be in to work, which I was going to work anyway. But they wanted everybody in, obviously. So I got to work, and everybody was kind of going crazy. And I got to listen to a lot of things, a lot of chatter. Um, I worked with Intel people, and I'm gonna talk a little about that and Hillary and her email stuff um, in passing. So a lot of things happened that day, things I can't talk about. Um, Heard a lot of things over the audio. People not knowing what they should do. Uh, Planes landing in Canada and stuff like that, and a lot of times didn't know who they were, didn't know how many planes we have in the air, and all that stuff. So it was basically we were caught with our pants down in that scenario. Um, so I thought, well, at that point, I thought I'm probably not going to go to that school. I'm sure I'm going to stay here. And they're like, no, you're going to go. And if you guys remember back then, um, the airports were shut down. So I had to drive out to Texas. I went there, and while I was there, everybody for the first 2 weeks, everybody's like, I want to go back to my unit. I got to support my unit and stuff. We stayed, and it was a good time. And I have a bond with those people, and um, came back. And when I got back, uh, now just let me tell you what I did, the type of job I had. I was in command and control of space systems. Um, Basically, our boss kind of like was like we reported to, back then it was Don Rumsfeld. I think he was, yeah, he was there. At that point, this was before he was, well, it was about the same time. Um, how it works out, you have like the A3 and how the hierarchy works. I don't really want to get into it right now, but we reported this person. And before Colin Powell and the president came out and started banging the war drums to Iraq, we were all privy to what the presentation was going to be. And it was so funny because we were sitting there looking at this, and then the enlisted guys are looking at each other saying, "What the heck? This isn't true." And and it's one of those things. You're like, "Oh, well, maybe they know better than we know." What do we? I mean, they're the ones who are in charge. We did what we had to do, and what really upset me about that day, not so much. Obviously, it upset me that people were killed, obviously, but after the aftermath, when the reports came out trying to blame the intel community, and as we already know, that the intel community gave all this information to quote unquote the higher ups, and I work with intel people. I work with the NSA. I work with the CIA. Um, NSA, CIA. There's somebody else I'm forgetting. It happens when you're old like me. Basically, anybody you would consider like spooks, we work with. The information that we got were used for that. And I know that at least with the intel analysts that I work with, they, even though they might be Republican or Democratic, most of them are Republican, they weren't against the country. If there was something that they had on Saddam, then we said that, and we would put that out, that person was somebody that was going to destroy United America. We would have that information out there, and we obviously had Bin Laden out there. We've been following Bin Laden since 90, 92, 93. So it wasn't like people in the intel community knew who he was, and there was threats going on during that time. So, the problem is again, it's the intel community was thrown under the bus, and most of the people that were thrown under the bus were people that I work with or similar to the type of people I work with, and it wasn't right. And apparently they're doing it again with ISIS. They're saying that's the intel community's fault, and some people who consider themselves quote unquote experts because they teach at a university about stuff, that there's a political bias for intel analysts, and they don't want to say anything bad about something. And you know what? There might have been, but we were there defending our country, or they were. I was with them, and they did what was right. And it disturbs me that even today, that's always the fall guy, and you'll see that with Hillary as well. There will be a fall guy at some point. It'll be somebody lower on, at the lower end. It's one of those things. And so after this happened to me, I decided that I didn't really want to work in that area anymore. I was disillusioned with what my government, who basically lied to me on this. So I went and asked, and they allowed me to go start testing systems on the launch ranges over at Patrick at Vandenberg. And I did that for a couple of years, and then I got out. And of course, the people that want to hire me were the ones that wanted the same experience that I had when I worked in the vault, dealing with top secrets, SCI. So they gave me money, and I went and worked with them, and I found myself seeing things that are 10 times more classified, let's say. So I was disillusioned with that, and then I had my stroke, and that kind of like knocked me out of there anyway. So I was looking my way out of there, But I never had a problem with the people I work with. I didn't have any problem with the people I trained to go do things. Um, it's none of those things about following the orders and stuff like that. These were great men, great women that doing what they thought was right for the country. What pisses me off still to this day, uh, like Abu Ghraib, that the enlisted people are the ones who are in jail, and the same thing will happen with Hillary. Nothing will happen to her, and some staff person will be in jail, or his or her reputation will be ruined because she knew exactly what she was doing. I have a video out there about how these how these informations goes from a classified system to an unclassified system. She knew exactly, and their staff knew exactly what they were doing was wrong. If it would have been me, I'd have been out of the Air Force. I'd have been in jail. She is still being allowed to be a front runner of the Democratic Party, and we don't have anybody that will call her out. And then we have people that are considered Democrats that are on my Facebook or something like that saying, "Well, remember 2007? We didn't prosecute Bush for lying to us." So that means what she did was fine. Um, the amount of intel that could have been hacked off of her, it, and I have to sit there and talk about this, and not get upset about it. To think what could have happened to us, what she may have allowed other people have, um, and what it is, it's we're being told that it's a witch hunt. So when I go online and talk about this, people always believe that I'm a conservative, even though I'm not. I'm a liberal, and people on the left don't know what liberalism is, and the right, they don't know what uh, they don't understand what actual liberalism is. Now, the new liberalism that involves social theories and only people who are of certain classes can be racist. People that are not in those classes can't be racist. Yeah, that thing has taken over the party. So I'll give you a little information about that. Um, my cousin, a little younger than me, don't really know him too much. He's a Lachine, but he lives up in Illinois. He's a Democrat. I mean, I grew up a Democrat, still am a Democrat. He just said something out there on Facebook about how great Obama's been, and you know, you know, some of the things that he's done, and some of that might be true. I'm not saying it's not. So I put something on his Facebook, and I said, look, I said he may be good here. I said, but the party has been taken over by gender ideologues, and his on men's issues, his record is appalling. So I waited, and eventually he said, "What issues are you talking about?" And I linked him a video from Don Gon Tom Golden from Men Are Good uh, on YouTube. It really was a report card of Obama's first term, and I was hoping he would listen to that and hear that. And I also talked to him about the Dear Colleague letter, which destroyed due process on campus. So I waited for his reply. I thought it was it's kind of an intro to what he is not, what Obama has not been, that he's not for men issues at all. He only talks about women's issues. Um, I waited for him to respond. He never really did. He may do it today. But somebody got on his comment sections and he just said cuckoo. And so I assumed he was talking about me. I went on his Facebook, and he's a Democrat. And there's a meme there about the email thing saying that it's all witch hunt. So I responded to him. I said, obviously you're talking about me. I said I'm a lifetime long Democrat, and why can't I talk about his failings in this issues? But it doesn't surprise me, because men are the ones that come back and basically say, oh, you're crying, little, male tears and all that stuff, boo boo and all that stuff. And I said, This is the problem with the left. You don't give a shit about other men until it's men in your family. And even then, I see it all the time. If somebody's accused of rape, the guys in the family think that that's probably true. They just believe that they're the good guy, that all the other people are not. Because we've been shamed our entire life. We've told us that this is what we're going to be. No matter what, we're going to kill. We're going to go have rape somebody, because that's what men do. And so, wait for his response to that. I said, you're just systematic of all men who don't help other men. And I said maybe I'll talk about that in another video about how men do this. And I wouldn't be the first one to talk about it. Other men have done it. Talk about men are more critical than other men. If I say something, they immediately think that I'm conservative, even though they're more. So, I want to talk a little bit about liberalism and what's happening. Anybody who actually looks up liberalism and looks at the tenets, there's like 7 tenets about liberalism, and that's what I am. Now, there's a new liberalism that really goes along with social theory and classes and what is privilege and all that stuff, and that, like I said before, is destroying the party. But liberalism to me it's about individualism, it's about property rights, it's about freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of assembly, free economy. These are things that mostly liberals, or not, libertarians or conservatives would say, oh, yeah, that's what we believe too. And I could tell you, when I was in the late 90s, when I was really, before my stroke, and when I actually could talk, there was a time in my life that I thought that I was going to run. At some point, I was going to run from office. And I have like a plaque that says, count on my, a plaque when I left saying, count on my votes, our votes. I was in the military. Being a Democrat, you're a minority in that position. But having conversations with people who are right wing or conservatives, and coming back with being able to actually have this discussion before talk radio and all the crazy people that we have on MSNBC and Fox News yelling at each other. We talked about it, and we came up with this whole thing about the common sense party. What's right, all that stuff. And we talked about this, and we came to agreements, and people were like, yes, I would vote for you if you actually run, because you have that ability that you're going to look at the common sense. And this is the problem with the left. The left actually believes, this is what they believe, and this I believe with them as well. Most climate scientists believe that climate change is almost all man-made to a point. And I believe with that. But also, and they believe that, the left's like, oh, that's right. But when 90% of all economists say that the pay gap is a myth, suddenly they just don't want to believe that. It's like, can't be right. Women have been oppressed the entire life, even though we've had the pay gap or act since what, 62, 63. Even today, Bernie Sanders is out there talking about getting better pay for women. It's like, so, and those who've listened to me about my feminism and stuff, about 1 in 5 and all that stuff. But so what I've seen in my side of the party is that we've been taken over by these feminist ideologues and their theories that have no proof in science whatsoever. So in the old days, for me, 6 or 7 years ago, I always used to say that the left was always right because we use science, and we could always back up what we have to say. We can't do it here, and we allow it to happen, and the president allows it to happen, and he just continually says things that are just not true. But that's just my thoughts for today. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions on it, or have any questions or any comments, let me know. Thank you for watching. You guys have a good day.